Chapter 1753 The Power of the Star Master. Yeah, Yang Kai nodded, his expression turned a bit hideous. Suddenly being used as a bargaining chip against you. This sect master is also very unhappy in my heart. Old Shah, this Jiang Huayan, does it matter if you kill it? Shah Hu, hearing this, sighed, keep him alive, old man will deal with it personally. As you wish. You think you can kill me, to see if you have this ability. Jiang Huayan looked angry and glared fiercely at Yang Kai. Yang Kai's calm made him annoyed extremely, and his heart was also very uneasy. I don't know if Yang Kai really has any strong support, not afraid of the waves and blue waves. After all, in the rumors he heard, Yang Kai has killed too much powerhouse at Void Return stage peak. However, no matter how tyrannical a person is, he can't be better than formation, right? The thoughts got to this point, Jiang Huan's anxiety was calmed a lot, and he looked at Yang Kai coldly, full of mockery. With the passage of time, the formidable power of the tidal sound and blue sky array is getting stronger, and the surrounding abundant water spiritual energy continuously converges into the formation, and the condensed monsters and weapon-like things also getting bigger. The pressure dropping from the sky makes Shah Hu change countenance. Yang Kai still doesn't mean to do it. It remains calm and composed while handling pressing affairs to stove in place, as if to carefully taste some of the formidable power of this tidal blue ocean array. After 5 minutes, the formidable power of tide sound and blue wave has been upgraded to the peak. Besides the ear, the sound of the tsunami sounded, which made people uneasy. Looking around, the sky was also covered with countless beasts and weapons composed of water spiritual energy. For example, a beast rushes to Yang Kai glare like a tiger watching his prey, and only waits for a certain moment to smash Yang Kai's corpse. Jiang Huan's face showed a relaxed expression. He was clear in his heart. Now Yang Kai even had the ability of Heaven Span, it is impossible to escape from the tide and blue waves. This huge formation has been modified and enhanced by countless capable men and women of Sea Palace, which is enough to resist a sect-destroying disaster. Sect Master Yang, I think you are a guest of Sand Marshal Uncle, obediently surrender, this palace master can be considered light-hearted, how about it? Jiang Huayan looks like Yang Kai's, slow asked carefully. Not good. Yang Kai shook the head, looking at Jiang Huayan with a smile. I came here with sincerity, but I don't want to encounter this kind of treatment. Honestly, you Sea Palace let this sect the master is very annoyed. If it weren't for old Shah here, this sect master even intends to remove you Sea Palace from Gloom Star, but since Sea Palace is the sect of old Shah, I can't do too much. Only you want me to remove Sea Palace from Gloom Star? Who gives you the confidence? Jiang Huayan roared, do you have this ability? Yang Kai laughed, neither too much action, just looking at Jiang Huayan, lightly spit out a word. Broken. When the words fell, the blue tide array that had accumulated to the apex suddenly buzzed and shuddered, and the swords of countless monsters floating in midair looked like just like own spiritual wisdom, following Yang Kai's orders, all of them burst in a burst of densely packed noise. Even the bright light barrier covering the entire Black Reef Island suddenly shattered at this brief moment. The protecting sect formation of Sea Palace broke in an instant. Just like the word Yang Kai spit out possesses supreme power, the spiritual energy between heaven and earth has to follow his instructions. Shah Hu, dumbstruck, deep in one's heart was greatly impacted, and looked at Yang Kai with an unimaginable look, as if he had only met him on the first day. Jiang Huayan was also stupid at the same place, looked at Yang Kai, and looked at all around again. How could I not believe it? The tidal sound and blue wave array was actually broken by the other side's words. The three palace master Qi Yunhai was even more dumbfounded, and his body trembled slightly. The remaining Sea Palace powerhouse also screamed in disbelief. What's the matter? After a while, Jiang Huayan suddenly reacted and rushed to Qi Yunhai angrily roared. Where is the discipline that presides over formation? Why did they stop formation? He thought that the failure of formation was because the disciplines took the initiative to stop, rather than Yang Kai's hands and feet. Qi Yunhai got big head for a while, quickly took out the communication compass, poured spiritual mind into it, and contacted the disciplines that presided over the tidal waves and blue waves. After a while, his face was humble and said, Big Palace Master, not the disciples stopped formation, but they couldn't start formation. How is it possible? Jiang Huan's eyes trembled, and he looked at Yang Kai in horror. Yang Kai grinned. No need to waste your strength. Now this world's spiritual energy within 1,000 miles is under my control. Without my consent, your formation is just a decoration. P greater than. Nonsense. Jiang Huaiyan screamed, even if you are a Void King stage, it is impossible to control such a large range of world's spiritual energy. Are you a fool as a palace master? Yang Kai He chuckled, his hands suddenly and slowly lifted up. His movements are not fast, but very slow, but with the lifting of both of his hands, the sea near Black Reef Island is like being boiled, fiercely boiling, continuously with huge bubbles rises from under the sea. One huge vortex after another, formed near Black Reef Island, spinning like crazy. Boom tilde boom tilde. One after another thick water column, suddenly rushed out of those vortex. Each water column is as thick as 10 zhang, straight into the sky. Even the clouds in the sky were all washed out of the hole. The sky is shaking, everyone is on an unstable footing. The sea surface near Black Reef Island seems to have dropped a few inches abruptly. The water column that rushed into the sky, and suddenly returned, turned into cyan water dragons. On the ferocious and huge head, the facial features are vivid, and even the body formed by the water column is like a dragon. Scales have general lines. Only in the blink of an eye, Black Reef Island all around, hundreds of water dragons purely gathered from seawater are formed, and these water dragons shaking its head and wagging its tail towards Black Reef Island go, when it was only a few 10 zhangs from Black Reef Island, suddenly simultaneous became frozen and looked down. The entire Black Reef Island is instantly impermeable, surrounded by hundreds of water dragons. Each water dragon is as long as 1000 zhang and several 10 zhang thick. Each one gives a kind of destruction, sexual coercion. It is not difficult to imagine that when these hundreds of water dragons rush down and plunder, Black Reef Island will surely turn into ruins in a very short time. Yang Kai, who did all of this, just lifted his arm slightly. There was no sign of using Saint Yuan at all, and he didn't use any strength. On Black Reef Island, there was a loud noise of people, and suddenly surrounded by so many water dragons, the disciplines of Sea Palace were naturally terrified. They had no idea what was going on. Under the pressure of terrifying, either limped to the ground, or fleeing hard, the scene is chaotic. Jiang Huaiyan could no longer restrain the panic of deep in one's heart, and trembled violently all over. Looking towards the monster generally looked towards Yang Kai, but I couldn't understand how Yang Kai did it. Kind of degree. No one dares to doubt whether Yang Kai has the ability to remove Sea Palace from Gloom Star. This scene is the best illustration. Impossible, this palace master never believes it, this is just an illusion. Jiang Huaiyan was still a little unwilling to give up, thought of a good reason, and looked at Yang Kai brightly in front of him. It turns out Sect Master Yang has practiced the profound illusion technique. This palace master was almost fooled by you. Stubborn. Yang Kai cold snort. When he thought of it, a water dragon swooped down towards Jiang Huaiyan, rushed over. In the mid-air, the incomparable gigantic water dragon distorted and transformed into a water arrow that was only 30 feet long. It rushed in front of Jiang Huaiyan in an instant. Jiang Huaiyan roared, and within the body Saint Yuan came out, stretched out his hand to connect the dots in the void, and the secret technique, which looked like a shield, gathered in front of him. Everything was in vain. Where the water arrow passed, the shields burst one after another, and there was no sign of stagnation at all. Jiang Huaiyan turned pale with fright, realizing that everything in front of him was not an illusion at all, but a real attack. When I want to avoid it, it's too late. Water arrows penetrated his body, bringing out a string of fresh blood, shot out from behind him. Jiang Huan's eyes widened and he fell on his back. However, because of Shah Hu's previous plea, Yang Kai did not kill at all. This is the case. This blow almost killed Jiang Huaiyan for most of his life. If he is not treated carefully, he must be cultivation. The level plummeted. One thought, the transformations of the world. One thought, moving mountains and filling mountains. Yang Kai, did you refining the origin of Gloomstar? Shah Hu asked in a trembling voice, but his eyes were amazing. The rays of light flashed by. What? Qi Yunhai complexion greatly changed, staring at Yang Kai stunned. Refining star source, this is something that only exists in legends, and once the star source is refining, it means becoming the star master of cultivation's star and can control everything. Qi Yunhai subconsciously does not want to believe in such unimaginable things, because refining star source requires an extremely powerful cultivation level as a guarantee. The cultivation level is rumored to be Void King 3 layer. But there is also the martial artist of Void King 2 layer. With great luck, he refining star source and promoted to star master. But this kind of thing is too far away after all, especially for the martial artist of Gloom Star. Yang Kai a trifling Void Return 3 layer, how can refining get star source? But if it's not for this reason, how can we explain everything in front of you? I'm afraid that the ordinary Void King stage can't make such a big battle, right? Only the Star Master who dominates a cultivation star can dominate the world's spiritual energy at pleasure and become a dragon. Old Shah have good eyes, I am just a fluke. Yang Kai slightly smiled, not at all denied. Chi Yunhai deep in one's heart can't help but moan up. He suddenly discovered that Ona did something with Jiang Weian that would make him regret for a lifetime. In Gloom Star's Star Master against Gloom Star, is there any other stupid way to do it? Sure enough, old Shah sighed softly and sighed in pain, fuzzy, confused. He was obviously blaming Jiang Weian for his short-sightedness. He was originally the friendship with Yang Kai is very good, but after this incident, Yang Kai's impression of Sea Palace is definitely not much better, which is extremely detrimental to the future development of Sea Palace.